Oh my God, here we are live
on a live
on
stream.
a live stream for a podcast called
Knifemaking Down Under's fortnightly
Knife
recording.
Making Down Under, fortnightly recording. It's been 2 weeks since we last caught up with everyone.
Yeah.
2 weeks in our time. Wait and see who joins in. I had a few people saying,
I'm waiting.
Hey, here we go. If someone's on there, go into Facebook and
click on the thing up the top because hi cunts. Thanks, Anthony.
Hey, Anthony.
Bring the room down to the level where we need to be straight
away. That's it, straight away. 25 or 50, less than a minute in, we're already breaking the rules of every podcast out there. Hey, Frank, how you going, mate?
That's how we roll.
What's up, lads? So anyone that's got Facebook user, go into your Facebook and give it permissions to see your name.
Most of you look like this because we haven't done it for so long, and you just have to renew your permissions.
Yeah.
So you have to go up and click on the link and just give the broadcast permission.
James, yes, that's better now.
That's perfect. Better now. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, there's lots of Facebook users. Let's not get carried away with the comment section.
We'll let them come in, and then we'll tell them to do it. But here we are. Hey, everyone, do you recognize us? Because it's been a long time. We've had a lot going on. Some good, some bad, but such is life.
Look at you. I haven't seen you for a long time, mate. There's a lot less of you. What's going on there?
Well, yeah, I think I've put on a little bit of weight since coming out of hospital, but I'm kind of sitting around trying not to eat too much in the way of bad stuff. But I'm very sedentary at the moment. Most of my recovery just means walking. I'm already probably doing more than my surgeon recommended, but I'm feeling pretty good in that regard.
There's people that are joining in that don't have a clue about why we haven't recorded for ages and that. So why don't you go back 6 months?
Yeah, right. Okay, so going back about 6 months ago, where does that take us to? That takes us to the beginning of the year.
Christmas, mate. Let's start at Christmas.
Right. So from around Christmas onwards, family life here was pretty hectic. My mother-in-law was quite ill. I was suffering a lot more recurrences in my bad back, which was not a great thing physically or mentally for that matter. But going back a little bit before then, if everyone can remember, I'd lined up to go and see a surgeon. Throughout this year, I've had about 5 dates lined up and then cancelled for various reasons. A couple of my own and a couple from the surgeon's area, so just had to deal with that. But fast forward up 9th of May, so about 6 weeks ago now, I had my surgery to do double disc replacement in the lower back. And I have to say, at this stage of the game, very, 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 very successful. Game changer for me, life changer for me. Had the surgery, came out of surgery. I think it was about 4 hours or thereabouts. I'm going to confirm that with my surgeon next week when I see him. But it was a pretty huge surgery. Woke up and they went through the front, so from actually cut inside the actual belly button down probably about 15 centimeters, and they opened me up and did all their business in there. And when I woke up in the recovery, I felt like I'd had about 20 rounds with Mike Tyson practicing body shots.
I was just thinking it was a good thing they they didn't do their business from the back. So while you're asleep there, Kev. But anyway.
Well, I don't know. I'll tell you, I got wheeled into the pre-surgery area. I had a little chat with the anaesthetist, and then I've had several surgeries, so I'm pretty well versed in the processes. But he put in the line into the arm, and he goes, "I'll just give you some of the good stuff," and he squirted a little bit of this liquid in, and I tell you, I had about 6 seconds of memory, and then that was that. And I had medical people visiting me in my room afterwards, going, "Oh, I met you pre-surgery." So I'm going, "Oh, that could have been funny. I have no fucking recollection. Who knows what I said?" Anyway, they went in and they put in um, a lower disc in one area, and they've screwed that in with 3 beautiful looking titanium screws. And then the next disc above that is just held there by my body weight, and it has a little cushion in it. Yeah, going really well pain wise. The adjustments I've got now, it's kind of funny. I'm probably leagues ahead of where I thought I would be. I was preparing to be in bed for like 3 months, barely moving, and just sob story and all that. No, I left the hospital 9 days after the surgery. I stayed in there for a bit of extra rehab, and ended up catching a commercial flight home on the Thursday after my surgery, which was on the Tuesday. I ended up just booking a Qantas flight home. That in itself had some dramas, but I won't go into that. Long story for there is I got home and I was feeling like, really good. But I've now got to accept that doesn't matter what this is telling me. I've got very little lower back pain, which for me after 30 years of savage pain is really amazing. But I've now got to just make sure the head's in the right space and I don't do anything stupid. Still limited to lifting 2 kilos, not allowed to bend or twist or do any of that stuff. And I've done a little bit of work with my wife cleaning out my mother-in-law's place. She passed away recently, and that was a bit of a lesson. I spent a couple of hours over there, and I was standing up moving stuff, but I was absolutely knackered afterwards and had to spend yesterday pretty much lying in bed recovering. So the mind's probably months ahead of where the physical side is. But yeah, no, I'm on top of the world. I feel great, and I'm really appreciative of everyone that supported me with the donations going in, because it definitely wasn't cheap. It definitely wasn't cheap. And very happy for everyone that managed to get in to say good day whilst I was in hospital. And completely understanding of those that couldn't make it for life and other reasons. But yeah, it was. I was in the Prince of Wales private hospital over in Ramwick, the POW as I was called. I was a prisoner of war for 9 days. The staff over there were pretty amazing. The food was sensational, I have to say. For a hospital, I was getting better food in there than I would in some restaurants that I've been to. And yeah, just getting generally well looked after. I was happy as a pig in shit because I come out of the surgery feeling good. They took me off the clicky pain meds 2 days after I was on them, because they said to me, right, just click it. Whenever you see that light go green, click it. So I was just, noticing this thing, clicking it. 2 days later, this like anaesthetist style doctor comes in and he looks at me little the stats on the clicker thing, and he's like, that's 4 syringes. And I'm like, yeah, and he goes, yeah, that's a lot. I'm like, oh, well, they just said click it. So anyway, they took me off that. Just chucked me on some. No, I was actually on fentanyl. I was on the heavy duty shit, fentanyl. Yeah, it's very spaced out for a few days. Anyway, they took me off that, put me on some oral pain medication, and a couple of days later, I had a visit from a pain specialist and just answered some questions honestly, and they took me off the opioid stuff I've been on for 14 months. And to me, that was I thought that was going to be a long-term goal. So I'm off that. Head's a lot clearer, much happier. Like I said, the back feels really good from where I'm at now. It'll be 6 months before it heals and starts fusing properly to the implants they've put in. But I'm happy. I'm up. I'm walking, not in a wheelchair, and the prospects are looking great for when I do get over it. So that was sort of 6 months for me leading up to the surgery. I go back to my surgeon next week to find out the next stage in recovery. Ashley's just put on Funnily enough, mate, it's a funny thing with me is I don't tend to have that the addictive part of my brain for stuff like alcohol and opioids and other medications doesn't really kick in. And I came off them and they gave me a prescription for all of these tablets to take to wean me off of it. And like 3 days after I got home, I'd forgotten about taking them and I was okay. So it was a really weird. I was on the heavy duty stuff, the long term ones, multiple times a day for like 14 months. So I thought I was going to be on some savage detox, but it just happened. So yeah, I take some. I take a like a well, the Panadol 4 things every now and then at the moment, but other than that, I'm clear of everything, which is great. And the best thing about that is tonight I sat down at dinner because I had a mate come over and I had 2 beers because I can now drink because I'm not on the opioid stuff. So yeah, which it's all good. So yes, I'm going well. I'm going good. Envious of I'm spending a fair amount of time. I have to well, a fair amount of time is an understatement. I spend most of my day on Instagram, or I've got telly in the room now while I'm recovering, and get up, do my walks or do my outings, come back down into bed for a couple of hours. Anthony Kittle will be well aware of what I'm up to now, which is about forwarding memes to people. It's kind of where it goes. He thought I was dead one morning because I hadn't sent him a meme by 9:30, and he sent me a message. Are you all right? Haven't had a meme from you. Oh no, I had a lie in. It was kind of funny.
No, well, got to do something with yourself, mate. There's only so many wanks you can do.
Oh yeah, I'm well over that. Brad, I'll be. Yeah, it has been fun. Physically, I'll be doing some glass work first because that's basically where I can stand up and do it, or I've got a sit, stand, stool, so I can adjust that for comfort. And yeah, that'll be that. I went out and my first sort of proper outing out of the house once I was actually given the okay to drive was out to see the ladies in the glass class, and yeah, they were excited to see me. I had morning tea and had a good laugh because they're a good bunch. They're not quiet, they're not shy, and I have to say, every now and then I end up going very red in the face with some of the stuff they say to me. I think, oh yeah, I'm pretty rude in these classes, and then they'll have a conversation and potentially forget I'm there. And yeah, I sort of pretend I can't hear it for a few minutes, but yeah, that's what I'll get into. I've also got a whole bunch of half done knives from Sydney and Adelaide and whatnot that are up there and just need hand sanding. So a couple that just need handles to put on. So that sort of stuff as well. I'll just get in and do the lightweight. I just can't forge because I can't be bent over the anvil or swinging a hammer for that matter because most of them are over 2 kilos at the moment. But yeah, no, I'm keen. I'm doing a lot of soul searching, I guess, one way of putting it, looking at plenty of posts, looking for inspiration for when I do get back into it, and working out just in the mindset. If I can't do, if I can't get in there and go full on in forging, then, sorting myself out to do stock removal stuff for a while and just so I'm back in there doing something because it's pretty frustrating at the very least. I have to say, like I said earlier, if people just jumped in, I'm feeling physically better than my body actually is. So I'd love to get up into the workshop and do stuff, but I know I'm like a fucking idiot. Well, more of a fucking idiot than I already am if I go and do that. So yeah, no, it's all good. So I've just been enjoying things that I'm sure we'll talk about, like the Blade Show and your travels, Corin, and seeing what everyone else has been up to.
Yeah. Well, that's it's all good, man. It's good to see you. Good to see you back. You coming up for Sydney show then?
Yeah, that's my plan. I'm pretty confident that I'll be up and active for that. So yeah, like my surgeon's appointment next week is up in Bowral. So I'm going to
Yep.
do the drive up. I'm actually going to stay up in Barrel overnight just for the shits and giggles at the pub there. But I'm going to drive up to Barrel, see how that goes with myself, and then work out whether I can get up to Sydney on my own steam or whether I have to bludge a lift off someone and all that. But yeah, definitely planning to be up at Sydney show. It'll be the first time, I think, since Sydney show started that I won't have a table. And that could be good and bad. I'm going to get to go around and annoy the absolute shit out of people. I might do some interviews for the podcast. I'll see how we go. But yeah, definitely want to get up there. Yeah, definitely want to get up there. Should be fun.
I think I've got a twin room. Hit me up. We'll talk.
Anyway. Yeah, righto. Estimated recovery time, Lee. 3 months. Like I'm 6 weeks in now, so another 6 weeks from now, I should be reasonably stable. That's at the 3 month mark. Around 6 months, the bone should have fused to the bits they've put in me, and then I should be pretty good, but just have to then get back and work on the core muscles and everything else. And then definitely like 9 to 12 months, I'll be 100%. The guy that I met that put me onto the surgery, his name's Manfred. He came to visit me on my last day in hospital, and ironically, his surgery was the same day as me 12 months before, and he was 100%, and I was just like, man, now I've just got to get through 12 months to be 100%. So very, very, very inspiring to see that. And yeah, Brad, I'll definitely be doing some live feeds at the show. Absolutely.
Unreal.
So there's my 6 months in 15 minutes. What have you been up to in that period of time? And switch over so you're the big screen.
I was probably
you can be
I don't know
big
how
spoon.
I feel about that. I'll just do this one. This one's better.
That's fine.
Yeah. So I guess in the last period, I've gone from making one barrel knife a year to making hammers, carbide straightening hammers, and I've had to solicit a little bit of help with that now. So Mr. Keith Flutter is giving me a hand, and we're trying to stay on top of it in any spare time that I have. So that's been really good, and I'm super grateful for all the support I've got from the industry. It's been a phenomenal thing because it's doing something for me. Most people seem to think I own Gamaco or have shares in Gamaco, which I have neither. I have worked there for 24 years. And so it's really nice to be building something small as it may be that is truly mine. I've got my own ABN. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Oh, I gave mine up last tax year. Last year at tax time, I was like, not earning much. The accountant actually told me, hand it in and just go back to hobbies for a while.
The hammer thing I kind of just landed on my feet there. We went and did that course with Sean. And now we first saw it like 4 or 5 years ago when Rodrigo Sofredo showed us how to do it with the ball peen. But then Sean showed us how good it was with the carbide ball, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I had the carbide balls because a mate of mine had given me a couple and said, do you want something to do with them? If you ever want to do something with them. So I came home and I made up a hammer, which wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, but everyone said, yeah, you should make me one. So then I just sort of thought, I'm not doing that. And then I did.
Yeah, I got one of the early prototypes.
Yeah, you and Ian came up and we made some prototypes. Yeah, that's right. You were involved back then. And then it's just been a bit of a roller coaster for me. So I'm super happy with it. And I've released a couple of different models and I've got a few more in the works, just different things I've been tinkering with. And every time I change something, it's an investment in carbide because you have to buy a lot of carbide. And
that's right.
So I've just made a double diagonal peen, which is for those guys that like that. Yeah. Which is, that's a pretty cool little hammer. Yeah. A few people have been getting onto that one. And basically the workshop's never been more well used. My poor little lathe is starting to scream and
right.
And then I wasn't going to Blade Show and I sort of couldn't see the value in it or anything. And then, we've been doing this deal with Broadbeck over in the States, and I've got a bunch of suppliers, as you know, bringing a bunch of stuff from America every year Gamaco does, and I thought, yeah, bugger it, we'll go. And I just contacted my mate Neil Paskin and said, hey mate, what do you reckon? You want to go to the States? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we booked some tickets. We couldn't get too close to the accommodation at Blade Show, so we were an Uber drive away. We went over to San Francisco on the way. Look, we had this. I'll tell the story because no one's listening anyway. So
I am.
I know.
No, I know it.
So I know, right? So we had this thing booked with Adam Savage, and like we had everything all sorted out to go and visit him, and Neil obviously being the famous dude, and me too, and we were going to have a chat to Adam Savage. We got an invite to the cave, we got the address, we got the time, everything was all sorted out. Neil made a beautiful tap wrench for him. I don't know if you saw the tap wrenches Neil made, but it's in his latest video, or one of his latest videos. And we flew over, we got off the plane, walked around San Francisco. It's not the nicest. Sorry if you live there and you think it's good. It's shit. I got to tell you need to get out more. Anyway, so we went to a restaurant and we sat down and had some breakfast that first morning, and I opened up my emails and there's a message. Oh, sorry, we've had to call it off. Adam's busy and he can't make it after all. So it was like, well, that's fair enough, right? So, but we were a little bit gutted. We had a good look around San Francisco. Yeah, we saw homeless people going to the toilet in between the tents on the street. The smell, it's pretty intense. We had a look at the big bridge thing. They're putting a new railing on there to stop the suiciders. So, I mean, that was pretty good. And then we went to Alcatraz. And then that was all pretty shit, really. Anyway, take it or leave it. I didn't like it.
Touristy stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was one good bit. I thought, fuck this. There's no good sitting around moping. We went to the airport, sat in line for 3 hours and fucked around. But we got a rental car and we drove down to Big Sur, which is down south of San Francisco. It's like where the mountains come down to the sea and shit. That was really nice. If you ever get a chance to go down there, that was pretty good. We had some really nice corned beef hash and potatoes. It was good. Anyway, whatever. So then we went to Blade Show. Now that's what you're waiting for, because this is Knife Making Down Under. So Blade Show was big. It was just like I remembered it. Lots of cool things there. Too many to mention here. Just get onto the social media and have a look at all the things. I mean, it's just amazing. And everywhere you go, everywhere you look, there's something cooler, something awesome, and it was nice. So we caught up with a whole bunch of old friends, Kev. Lots of people asking after you and what's going on, how you going.
Yeah, next year for me. I've been answering back to them next year, you bastards.
Caught up with the Texas cartel.
Oh God.
Neil got a bit of an eye opener in the pit one night, and when one very famous knife maker who was very, very pissed pulled a pistol out of his pocket. That was I won't say Neil got up. I was a little bit shocked. Yeah. But anyway. And so that was that went pretty good. It's just Blade Show, right? Going out for dinners,
and there was a heap of Aussies there this year too, which was great.
And drinking and carrying on like dickheads, really. And we had our really the highlight of the show for me, although I can claim no part of it, was a very good friend of mine, Mr. Jackson Rumble.
Oh yeah.
Passed his Master Smith. He's the 117th person in the world to get a Master Smith, to get his Master Smith, and he also picked up the best. I forget the name of the award, but anyway, he picked up the award for the best Master Smith knife submitted for the year, which goes with the award that he got for the best journeyman Smith ever submitted.
The Kiesler.
The Kiesler one, 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, and he pulled the knives out. He was sharing a room with us, and because Blade Show, everyone's crashing with everyone else. And in the we had a look at the knives before he submitted them, and I obviously didn't touch them or anything. But wow, just wow, just wow. That dagger that won the award is a stunning piece of work. And there was only someone just asked how many people passed. There was only one person passed, and that was Jackson this year, out of 5 submitted. So there you go. Now, a big congratulations to another Aussie. Andrew's pointed out in the comments there. Francois
Messier.
Yep. And Francois passed his journeyman Smith. Well deserved. Awesome. Missed the presentation ceremony because of a timing scheduling issue, but he still passed. So it's still good. And
I just have to point out that Francois, sneaky little fucker, aren't you? You just flew under the radar to do that. Because and then, of course, you sent me a photo. You sent me a photo and said, "There's Frank waiting for his JS," and it was you'd obviously zoomed in on your phone, so I had a not pixelated, but I had a blurry photo of some dude side on named Frank, right. And I'm going, "Who the fuck in Australia is Frank?" Going for, short for I know. But, I picked it up later, but it had me. I was clueless for a day and a half, and then I saw him in a photo and went, Francois.
He's a good guy, man. And his work is beautiful, and it was well deserved.
Yeah, it's always been clean. Yeah.
So then, we were staying a long way from the show because not a long way, but too far to walk in the Georgian humidity. And as you get in the car and go down to the Uber at the hotel, the Uber driver has to move his pistol off the front seat so we could get in. So, and he's like, "Oh, you don't want to come second in this town?" I'm like, "Holy shit, we're in America." Anyway, America, freedom. Anyway, it was really good. And then we went down to New York. Me and Neil, after Blade, Neil bumped up to New York and had a bit of a look around New York. And then we went up and stayed with Jimmy DeResta for a week, which was, I wouldn't claim to have, I've followed Jimmy for years and years, but yeah, I'd have to say I'm a much bigger fanboy after meeting him, actually. He's a great guy. Genuine, honest, big-hearted, excellent maker, great thinker, great problem solver. Just brilliant. Yeah, good guy. So that was that was it, really. I have to say
that I don't know whether I appreciated it or whether I just thought it was shit, but the photos you were sending of the workshops that he has, and I mentioned workshops with multiple, and like America, everything's big in America. Yeah, the bastards have the fucking most huge workshops with the craziest of stuff in them. And I don't think they understand how exceptionally awesome all of that stuff is, because I think not all, but a lot of the bigger players in that sort of making of things and knives just have these huge workshops, and you're like, okay, unreal.
Oh, and no, that was really good. We had a lot of fun there, and it all kind of started off with me fixing his hardness tester, and then I fixed his lathe, and then
the lathe. That was funny watching the lathe fix.
Fucked around. It was funnier there actually because we didn't know what we were doing. Yeah, but we got there in the end, and we just felt, when you go, what I'm like when I go to someone else's shop, I always try and leave it a little bit better than when we arrived, to try and fix something or do something. So that was good. We helped him make his go-kart. So if you follow him on Instagram and that, you'll be seeing his go-kart build. And it was all really, really good. To answer some of the questions that have appeared in the chat, I'll just go back through a few there. Jamie says Blade was loads of fun, and you just can't underestimate how much fun and how many people you talk to and you meet and the relationships that you build, and it's all really, really good. Stan says, what's with the high vis? Stan, today we had to go and set up a show for the Knife Art Association. We didn't have to. We volunteer our time like all the Knife Art Association people. And to get in and do the setup, because they've got forklifts driving around, you have to wear high vis, and I always forget to take a vest. So when I got up this morning, I put a high vis shirt on. And that worked for me. So yeah, we are there for this weekend. Jamie's going to be there. Darlu's going to be there. Rob Fraser. There's a whole bunch of us going in to man that booth over the weekend. And all we're doing is telling people how great the Australian knife making community is, how people can get involved in the Australian knife making community, and how they should come to the Sydney Knife Show and have a great weekend. And that's pretty much, there's no other reason. That costs a significant amount of money for the KAA to put on, like everything the KAA does. And with the amount that's been, it's been a challenging couple of years. I don't need to tell anyone that, since we were doing really well before 2020. So we're running a raffle at the moment. The Knife Art Association's running a raffle. If you want to support the association, jump right in and buy tickets. The Knife Art Association is not the association where everyone has to join and get something back. It's not like that. Just try and just support by giving some business that way and join the raffle. Gamaco have donated blowing Gamaco's trumpet, but Gamaco have donated a Paragon kiln worth about $4,000 or something. So it's a significant prize, and well worth getting some tickets for that.
Oh, absolutely. That's because I don't do Facebook. Well, sorry, but I do, because I have my laptop which has Facebook. My phone doesn't, because it just took too much time. And I do Marketplace. It's very bad when you're recovering from injury and you're on Marketplace and you're like, no, I cannot buy that. I'm not earning anything. But I wasn't aware, actually, and this is ironic because I'm the president of the KAA. I wasn't aware that was the prize, which I have to say, that's absolutely fucking awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely awesome. Yeah, and please support us, because, like I said, we're a reasonably large group of people now that volunteer our time to make these shows awesome. And like Corin was just saying, we don't really cut costs too much in the promotion of these things. And even this year, with our wonderful employee Andrew sending through our emails for confirmation and stuff, everything's gone up as well. So just like, we're not begging for stuff, but we're just always doing say, we're only around to promote Australian knife making and knife shows in Australia and host them, as well as other activities, of course, and try and bring in the best people from around the globe for makers to get a chance at having time with. And it just costs money. So when we put these raffles together, which we've been missing for a time and talking about running again for a time, they're run in the best interest, really. Like it's a not-for-profit organisation, so no one's skimming the cream off the top of these suckers. I can tell you that now.
No.
Yeah. So now, just down the bottom, Corin, there's an interesting post by Anthony Kittle. It says, "Croc lights Kev."
Oh yeah.
Now, what I have to do, I since having the bad back and getting the surgery and being in bed, I've had a lot of time to think about my processes in the workshop and general safety. And wearing high vis and that sort of stuff is an amazing thing. And I just need to point out a little addition I've got to my Crocs.
Nice. Yeah, you got to have it.
This is so I don't miss anything in the workshop. And I see all those trip hazards.
Fucking golden.
Again, recovering from surgery, being in bed with a laptop and eBay, bad. Because you end up buying $15 lights for your Croc just to get two people to laugh at them. And one of those wasn't my wife. She didn't laugh. She just went something like, "Croc lights, what the fuck?"
So Mick's asking, what's the cost of going to Blade? Mick, I got to tell you, this year was, I couldn't have, if it wasn't Gamaco pain, I wouldn't have paid. Honestly, It's too much money.
I don't know how much
the-
airfares
the-
and stuff were, but
Yeah, the flights now, where we were used to be paying somewhere around 1,800, you could get a good deal at about 1,800. Sure, you'd have your knees pressed up against the seat in front, and you'd be flying through, Detroit or something, but you could get a pretty good deal right now. It was 3 for the flights, but that included going up to New York, but that's not that much extra. So
no, it's not.
yeah, and so that was it was a lot of money actually. And then the hotels, man, like you're talking about $180
A night,
a night.
which is why we share.
Yeah,
couch surf, share the king bed, 2 people.
we ended up we did 3 people in my room. So we had Jacko and Neil. So Neil was on the sofa and Jacko was on the floor, but all good. And then and actually it was when we were in San Francisco, it was that was pretty hideous as well. So anywhere you stop, if you don't stop with a maker, a lot of guys that like if you know guys over there, you can get easy stay with people because they stay with us when they come out. I mean, I'm not saying you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
If you get hosted, it's not so bad, but accommodation can really run up really, really quick. I think I probably my total expenses for the show would have run close to sort of $8,000 or something by the time all was said and done.
Yeah.
And the food over there, fucking expensive, man. And
yeah, see, you were saying that, and that took me by surprise. We know that if you eat at the hotel, it's pretty expensive, but in general, one of the things when I travelled over there pre-COVID times was how cheap food was. And then when you were saying how expensive, when you were telling me some of the costs of dinner, I was just like fucking blown away going, holy shit.
And that didn't even include a tip. I was buying rounds of drinks and it was costing $60 US. And you're like, geez, man, that shit adds up real quick. I don't mind. But you know what I'm saying? Like it can get pretty expensive. So
it's
especially with
the
with our currency where it is at the moment, it's a thing, right?
Yeah.
So I did have a meal over there, which was probably the most expensive one I've had probably ever. Did I show you the picture of the steak I had in New York?
Yeah. Yes.
It's like the fucking half the height of a can of Coke.
And like a tomahawk steak.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking massive.
What they call it, a king's cut. That's
King's
it
cut.
next to it. For those that are watching, there's a can in the background. That's the steak on the plate. I shit you not, it was the biggest piece of meat I've ever seen. I nearly finished it too, but anyway, I had to go. So I enjoyed that. And then, the time with Jimmy DiResta, that was exceptional. So that was
that would have been amazing. I reckon that would have been amazing. Just with what he does in the making world, and the time I've spent up with you in your workshop and the things you do, and I'm just blown away because I don't have that mechanical nous or background in it. I don't watch the stuff that you make and I just think, fucking hell, look at you go. And then you go and get schooled by, well, not schooled necessarily, but you go and see someone like Jimmy DiResta that's just a brainiac above that level. And, having someone like Neil with you as well, it would have been fucking just absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah, because I was bringing that trio down, but it's all right. I don't mind playing a support role occasionally. I mean, occasionally.
I do it, even if it's
Lee
just
Cantwell says
comedic support.
We're spoilt for choice now with all these grinders and accessories. Yeah, you wait until you see the new range of Reaper stuff that's coming out in the next few months. Absolutely. Some of it's been in testing for a few months now, and it's all in production, so it's going to be a good. It's going to be good. More variety, more choice, better for the punters. Brad Stone asks, can you explain the benefits of the different types, ball, cross, and flat for the hammers? So basically, the way that we were always shown to straighten was from Rodrigo and from Sean and Jackson and all the rest of it was to just use a ball peen, and the ball with the two ends, with the ends curved up, when you smack in the middle, will straighten a blade. But it can be a little bit tricky to get twists out of a blade. And you can do it. You just need to hit along the line of the twist and so forth. But then people are asking about the cross pins, because the Japanese, apparently that's where the cross pin style comes from. They don't use a cross pin. They just use a straight line. But I made a cross pin because I want to be a little bit different, and because cross pins rock the world. They're the best type of double diagonal cross pin, best type. And so that way you can adjust which way the metal moves such that you can take twists out. So that's really not really a big thing if you're just making little hunters and things. But if you're making kitchen knives and trying to get delicate bends and stuff out of kitchen knives, then it's the tool for the job. The flat carbide thing, there's no one else, and to my knowledge, in the world putting a flat carbide hammer together. But man, I get so many good comments about how well they work for pinning, and not just pinning in knives, but anytime you're riveting tangs. Martin bought one. Martin Carswell Lever.
Oh yes,
and he reckons best thing he's ever used for riveting leather. He said it's just amazing how well it works. The carbide it's a small hammer, but the carbide is heavy, and being heavy, it works really, really well as the fact that it's hard, so there's no give at all in the tool. Anyway, people love them. I'm the only one doing them at the moment. I'm sure someone will rip me off in a little while, but that's okay. That's life.
If they knew the work that went into them, they fucking wouldn't bother. I'd be like, no, fuck. I've seen the whole I've been involved in the process, and that's the process after you have sorted it all out and made it into a functional process. And I'm coming in at the last minute and just helping put little bits together. It's like there's a whole bunch of engineering in the background to even get the idea going. So yeah, good luck if they want to try. But you get that.
Whatever. I'm enjoying it from a very I was not in a, as you know, maybe the rest of them don't, I don't know, but I was not in a good space at the end of last year. I was not in a good space at all at the end of last year, and I was struggling a lot. And I did two things. I started up doing these hammers and doing more of that, and I started medication as well, and got that sorted out, and that's been fucking wonderful, actually. I got to say, now I've got that sorted out. I feel I got to say, if anyone's ever, I was super hesitant to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'll have to come off it at some point. But yeah, it was it's life changing.
That's something
it's life changing.
When the doctors and yourself feel the right time, that's when you do it. Look, on that note, as we tend to do with these things, if you're ever in a situation where you're feeling down like that, hit one of your mates up, have an open conversation, or contact Beyond Blue or one of those other foundations that are out there. Don't hesitate. You all well and truly know my story, which, I risen from the ashes, as they say, like the phoenix going out. I look at where I'm at now to where I was back then, and a lot of stuff I had to do, and like get in and do a lot of hard work to do it. It just didn't miraculously happen. But I had a lot of support from yourself and a whole big group of others. You all know who you are. I won't go through and mention this. It's pretty big. But man, like without that support network, I wouldn't be here today. And it's amazing, an open conversation with your doctor. If you don't really want to talk to your doctor about it, get a plan to go and talk to someone else. Just talk. There's plenty of people in the industry. And on the medication side of things, you know what, as an interim to get your head sorted out and your thinking processes sorted out, it's something that you should consider. It's not a big bad taboo. And you might need to change. Yeah, you might need to change a few. I had to change.
It's a rough road at the start, though. Be prepared for that, because it can get worse before it gets better. It certainly can, but it does get better. So
it's great, because I obviously haven't hung out with you through those times and knew the darkness that I was in. I could sense it in yourself, and it was like now it's just fantastic to see the change. It really is. It's a marvelous thing.
Do you know the worst thing though is that I would deal with my mental health by just obsessing and focusing. I was
Yeah.
far better at making hammers and far more productive before I started taking medication, because now I don't feel like I
Yeah. Yeah, it
whatever.
does. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. The sort of, you got to get the right one that doesn't leave you, uh, or the one that doesn't make you hyper. You got to find a nice in between. But then, yeah, you got to then start going, yeah, fuck it, you know what, I really should get out and do some stuff rather than sitting here feeling content.
So Adam says the brass heads. But why the brass heads? So brass is denser than steel, so there's more mass in brass than steel. Okay, it's a moot point in that volume, but it is slightly denser. It's it's a lot easier for me to get the silver braze the carbides to the brass. I mean, you can silver braze to steel. I could do that. That's no problem. But it's also cleans up nice, and also the brass faces on the hammers are machines heaps easier too, of course. It's quicker to machine. And the brass faces on the hammers are really good for straightening non-mono steel blades. And I'm not talking Damascus, I'm talking Sanmai, where you've got a soft outer jacket, or even W2 that's been differentially hardened.
Yeah.
The technique doesn't work great on those, but you can do it with a brass hammer. So that's why. And brass, all class. It's more expensive than steel, obviously, but at the end of the day, I make that back up probably in time, because I don't have to. I'm milling an hourglass shaped eye, for example, in the heads. Kev's seen me do it, and how I do it, to make sure that the handles stay on properly, and all that sort of thing is just so much slower and more difficult in steel. So yeah, and all good. Yeah, Adelaide. That's Anthony says if I wasn't the best in Adelaide, mate. I had some of the lowest parts of my life. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. we acknowledge, recognize, and then move on with a lot of gratitude and these sorts of things. That's one of the biggest things. You know, it's been a long time, I guess, since I've talked about my process through it, but one of the biggest things that I found in it was, having gratitude for the smallest of things, and accepting that gratitude. And then when I started doing, I had a cognitive behavioral therapy coach. So it wasn't a counselor. It was just, I spent a couple of weeks in a facility to reset the brain and everything. And as a follow on from that, I had a CBT coach. So it was just a guy that rang up, and we had a 15-minute appointment each week. And I had a booklet of stuff to go through and work on homework. It was homework on my mental health and all that sort of stuff. So I put in a heap of work with that. But that one process was where I started to really gain gratitude for the smallest of things, and actually give myself gratitude for taking on the tasks and doing the work and seeing that light at that end of the tunnel to come through it. Because if you don't acknowledge the work you're putting in and you just palm it off like I did, or just even didn't even acknowledge it, you just forget, and you don't think you've done anything decent or anything good. So you've got to just accept that, if you do something good in a day, give yourself a pat on the back for it and say, job well done, mate.
It's funny though, because like there's a good comment here from a Facebook user. I'm not picking on it, but it says always happy to chat if anyone needs it, and we all are. I think when I say we all are, I think most people are. Speaking for myself, I wasn't in a position to chat to anybody.
Yeah,
and it was only, just talk to your doctor. If you don't want to talk to anyone else, just talk to a. I went to a random doctor, not even my regular doctor.
The next comment down touches on that.
What was that one?
From the other next Facebook user.
Oh yeah.
You're saying talking to your doctor, or a doctor that has a good understanding, and that's a part of it. And I guess another part of my sort of luck in this whole thing of physical and mental healing was, I got given this doctor's name, and he was literally 2 minutes at a clinic 2 minutes down the road from me, and he's just awesome. And I had my first face-to-face visit with him. last week or so to get a follow up, or a couple of weeks ago actually, to get a follow up on how the scar was healing in my stomach and stuff. I gave him a massive hug, man, because without his help and his support in agreeing to me do these things, and it sounds weird that you go, I've got to get a doctor to agree to me to go to see a counsellor or something like that. A lot of doctors won't. Whereas this guy, I did a lot of the research into where I wanted to go. And like for my surgeon, for example, my doctor had never heard of him. And I said, well, I want to go and see this guy. I need an MRI and a referral. And he had it written out before that appointment was finished. So on my last one, when I went in there, it's kind of like me seeing you, because we haven't seen each other for a long time. I can see that change. I can see that change in you. And he was just blown away by the fact that I've lost weight, the fact that I've walked into him for the first time smiling. Never happened before. Walked in smiling. Was just really upbeat about having had the surgery and the fact that I was in hardly any pain anymore, and I was off the drugs. And, so I'm pretty lucky. I've got a doctor I can go to and relate to that is really 100% behind me. If you don't have a doctor like that, get another doctor.
We haven't touched on a serious note, on a very serious subject that somebody asked about earlier, but only one person. Where's Mert?
Oh,
I don't know where he is actually. He's not here. I'll just.
Well, he
came home 5 minutes ago. I will have a quick bite and dial in. There you go. So he's not far off.
And then we'll get Mert on like we did on one of the other episodes, and we'll go, "Here you go, Mert. Say good day, everyone." All right, thanks everyone. That was a great show. We'll see you next time.
Take care. So yeah, look, and you know the oh, it's just been a pretty wild ride. And I'm super grateful for where I am at the moment, to be honest. You know, I think for me, I feel like I'm on the up and up, and I don't think the hammer thing's going to keep going. I've noticed a distinct fall away in sales, but everyone I know's got one, so it can't be.
Everyone you know, that's like 1.62% of the knife makers in the world. It'll pick up again.
They turn up everywhere. You'll be watching a Kyle Royer video, or you see them pop up all over the place now. People are sending me messages. Oh, I just see one in. Yeah, Neil RPM Neil, the guy from Hawaii. Neil Kamamura. They're everywhere. So, but one of the funniest things was I'm going to make one as a gift for a guy, and I felt really like a bit of a mug. I didn't tell you this story, but I will. So I'm at Paragon's booth, because at Blade I spend about 50% of my time helping Paragon out and selling kilns, talking about how they're used and so forth. And this guy comes up and he's talking about very specific things about stainless steel Damascus. And I was talking about it. I said, well, you know, you could certainly do it in a kiln, but you got to think about your atmosphere. And we talked about, we're getting into a pretty serious discussion about this. And I'm no expert on stainless steel Damascus, but I do know a little bit. And I'm just having this bit of a conversation with him. And he was like, you really don't know who I am, do you? And I said, well, he's some old guy. Like, I don't know. Oh, he said, no. He said, my name's Michael Walker. And I said, oh, pleased to meet you, Michael. I'm Corin.
Hello, Michael. I'm Corin, yeah.
He said, I've been making knives for a long time. I said, oh, well, yeah, fair enough. Good. Yeah, well done. What's your handle on Instagram, whatever? He goes, I invented the liner lock. And I went, oh, that's pretty significant. Oh, pleased to meet you, Michael. And then we got to it. We had a great time. And I said, sorry, man, I'm just a dickhead from Australia. I don't know anything. And it was we ended up getting on really well. And I'm going to send him a hammer this weekend. So, yeah. But he was a pretty cool guy. If you look him up, Michael Walker Tao on Instagram, I think it is. He's an amazing knife maker. Well, obviously, he's been around a long time. But, yeah. I think I'll just get the name. It's Michael Walker Taos, Taos. So Michael Walker, as you would say it, and Taos, no dashes, dots, or anything, one word. Check him out. Unreal maker, nice guy, yeah, and pretty interesting. Adams says, "Is the podcast going to be a regular thing again?" I think we're in a position to say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, when I say regular, I mean, as regular as it ever was. Maybe
we
weekly,
plan.
maybe
Well,
fortnightly.
we're planning fortnightly at the moment. Next week I'll be in Bowral for the night anyway on the Thursday. We're planning fortnightly at the moment, and as we get back into the swing of things, we'll see about making it weekly, or if we have something come up that we want to have a chat about. But if we're planning fortnightly, that's definitely on the cards. We've been talking about it getting back in action for a long time, and just in the last couple of weeks, myself, Corin, and Mert have been excitingly sending each other messages going, come on, let's just fucking book a date, get back into it. And here we are. And it's admittedly it was I was a little nervous actually setting up the laptop and everything for it. I had to go and find where I'd thrown the microphone, and I didn't know where my headphones were. And I was like, fuck, it can't be that long.
I forgot to send Kev the link to get into the room, and I'm sitting here waiting by myself.
So I said to Corin, I'll be at the laptop at 8:15 so we can make sure everything works. At 23 past 8, I'm sending a message going, you got a fucking link for me? Oh shit!
I'm going, where are you? Oh, no worries. Anyway, Ben Cutts has put in just a big one here. I didn't want to put up while you were talking because it kind of takes up the whole screen, but I'll read it for the benefit of those listening later. We could sort of do these ones. I'm lucky my doctor
stand up anyway.
Worked on the medication doses, regular check-ins, medication reviews, and basically, some doctors will put you on medication, send you home. Don't stress about looking for another doctor until you find one who actually wants to support your journey. Mental health for men is a huge thing. Absolutely not a bad thing to speak up when you're not doing well. It's not a bad thing to speak up when you're not doing well. It's just, in my case, I just didn't feel like speaking.
No, there's a block in front that prevents you from doing it in a lot of the cases.
And I had a therapist. I wasn't even talking to the therapist about what the real problems were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just fucking... Yeah. Anyway, and it just once I found that I just think it's helped me anyway. I don't think by any means I'm perfect, and it took a good 6 weeks before I got it sorted out onto the right level.
Well, yeah, you would
give it time.
You were hitting me up with a couple of messages knowing that I've been on the tablets and stuff. Yeah, and just to get that brain, and you got to be careful. And another thing is, once you're on them, like I said, take your doctor's advice 100% when they say about tapering off. I had a strange incident the other day because I'm not really used to getting out of the house at the moment because I've been housebound. I got up and Rowan, my wife Rowan, and I were off to go and do a couple of things, and we hit about midday, and we went. We're looking at getting some new carpet. That's how boring it was. But I was so excited because I was getting out of the house. I could have been going to the fucking Logies or whatever. That's how, Anyway.
And you go and shopping for carpet.
It was the equivalent of going to Blade Show for the excitement factor of getting out of the house. Anyway, walked up a set of stairs, and it was the first set of stairs I'd gone up since surgery. And I got up the top, and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm a bit lightheaded. I was like, wow, that like knocked the shit out of me. Got one flight of stairs. What it was it worked out actually later on in early evening when I came home, is I didn't take my 2 tablets only that I take now. I didn't take them in the morning, and by about midday, that's where this little bit of a vertigo feeling had started to come in, and I was like, fucking hell. And once I realised, I just went and quickly scopped my medicines and I was fine. But yeah, just be wary of that side effects. Now, Ash has put up something cool about the men's shed. He's got a long post there about men's sheds and stuff.
I didn't see it. Yeah, I'll come back to it.
Just before my surgery, or in about February, my wife and I, regardless of the fact that I was feeling like shit, we hadn't had a holiday forever. And we ended up booking an accommodation up in Queensland, and that fell through in like 2 days before we were leaving. And we ended up, we were going to pass through Maxville, which is near Nambucca Heads, that sort of area. And we booked accommodation there because we were going to stop in and see friends there anyway for a night. I kind of fell in love with the place, got to be honest with you. And we're looking at a sea/tree change around that region in a few years' time. And and just before my surgery, I had one of those, as close as I could get to a morbid thoughts these days about, oh shit, what if shit goes wrong and I fucking come out and I'm in a wheelchair? I'm going to go back up to the area and catch up with my friends again for a week. And the segue into this story is the Maxville local show was on that weekend, and I went there with my friend's other half, and it was so cool because it was this real small country town yearly show, and it was really good. Anyway, we went in, and I was talking to these guys in the men's shed. Speaking of Ash saying about men's sheds, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, men's sheds guys, and I'm like, oh yeah, fellas, I'll probably be moving up in a few years' time. Blah blah blah. I'm a knife maker. I've got this awesome workshop. I'll probably have to downsize some of my tools. So hey, I'll bring in, maybe like a grinder or something. Show you guys a bit about the knife making thing. And here I am putting all this cool stuff about what I can put in. Yeah, their first question to me: do you fish? And I'm going, oh yeah. Oh well, they go, are you moving up? Like, are you married? Are you moving up with your wife? I said, yeah. My wife and I are going to move up. He goes, right, we'll go home and tell your wife straight away. Friday's fishing day. So I'm already diaries Friday fishing day. But I was there going, I've got all these cool things. I've got lasers. Fuck yeah, I was really excited about them being enthusiastic about this. And they're like, so do you fish? Oh yeah, I do. They go, you're going to love it, mate, every Friday. You bloody beauty. Oh yeah.
Nice. So I guess we probably should put a call out for any knife making actually related questions.
Yeah.
If anyone has any of them, you just feel free to hit us up. I think tonight's just more about just saying, hey,
catching up and getting back on board. Yeah,
we're back on.
Blair had another good point, mate, just down there about like with your hammer making and stuff. Apart from, thank you, Blair. Really great to see you too, mate. Normalizing and he had another one. Something about your hammers. Oh, trust me, you think you sold as many as you can, and then for no apparent reason, it just takes off again.
Yeah,
and there's Blair selling countless bloody anvils and stuff as well, and you go, I've sold all I can sell, and then out they go again.
Mate, I mean, the amount of grinders that I've done over the last decade, you would think there'd be one in every shed by now.
I was going to say every shed,
yeah. But I mean, we're still doing fucking heaps. So anyway, whatever. So, and Julianne was one of the Facebook users. Julianne, it's really great to see you.
Okay, yeah, good to see you. And Doug, I did see something there about Doug, guys from Doug. Yep.
Yeah. And that's where that's where it lays. We're just waiting for Mert to join, and then we can go. But
it's true. I've got to say, I have about an hour's tolerance with like the good back, even though it's good. I have about an hour's tolerance of
sitting at the seat.
I'm in a fairly rigid back brace that I've got to put on just so it stops me. So I got that thing, and I'm like, come on, Mert, you fucker, get on, so we can say fuck you, Kev.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, from my making perspective, Keith Flutter always said to me, if you want to get good at knife making, pick a style and make 50 of them, right? Just do one knife and just keep doing it until you can do it well. And I think that's pretty good advice, but I was never I'm going to do 50 barrel knives. I'd be dead by the time I get that done. So with the hammers, it's been a case of just sort of tweaking the process and tweaking the process and tweaking the process to the point where, I'm trying to save a bit of time here and a bit of time there and still get a good or better result. I think I could put, I did. I was the other night, I was up at Keith's place. He's got one of the first ones I made. And I'm like, that's a bit rough, but they're still not perfect, but at least, we're getting there.
It probably had my soldering at that stage with all the bubbles and shit, because we were using a a lower grade solder and a novice at the job at that time. Yeah.
Frank says, are the grinder attachments interchangeable between brands? Frank, yes, some are. Some are excellent on different brands of grinders. We've been running different attachments for the last couple of months. Actually, for the last 6 months, we've been trialing different attachments on different grinders, and you'll be surprised how one will work on another, but it won't work on like a little buddy, but it will work perfectly on a Reaper or on a Shopmate or whatever. So we're honing that down and trying to get the best range that we can that will fit on the biggest range that we can. So as those new ranges are released, they will be to a certain degree, but grinders have some level of difference, and it may be that some things won't work on some grinders, but yeah, or you may have to modify your grinder, like on a little buddy, those arms at the back, you may have to drop the height of the tracking wheel and the arm to get the length down. I mean, stuff can be fudged to make stuff work, but I think the main one we're having trouble with is the little buddy. It's just it's a deeper grinder. So yeah. But I mean, there'd only be about 400 or 500 of them out there. So yeah. The carbide hammers would have to be good and other stuff, engineers, etc., wouldn't they? Okay. Oh yeah, carbide hammers, mate. Yeah, they're going everywhere. They're not just knife makers. People are starting to share them in panel beating and all over. So engineering, guys like Neil, who uses his for riveting the pins. I don't know if you saw, if he's done it. He did it in the thread tap wrench video and also in the parallel pliers video. Both times saw me spike up in people buying them, and then I get all these comments about people using them for different things, and they're loving them. So yeah. Uncle Keith is back and making on the social. Someone said, yeah, look, Keith, he's been wrestling his own demons as well. He's a great guy, and he's been in my shop a fair bit lately. So, and it's just it's good to have him around and seeing him see he's coming good, and he really is. I was up at his place last night, and yeah, he's good. So he's getting a bit inspired to get making again.
Yeah, he just posted up a really nice W2 Tanto.
Oh, I saw that last night.
Yeah, I was like,
that's
nice, Uncle Keith. Yes, nice.
Yeah, no, that's
it's like, just come back slowly, mate, with a fucking spectacular looking on a bloody Tanto. Yeah, why not?
He's good, my mate. Yeah, no, he's bloody. He's a talented man. Do you think you'll make it to Adelaide this year? Says Ash.
For me, I don't know. I'd love to. I don't know.
Hit me up. We'll talk about it later, Kev.
Yeah,
because I happen to know where there might be a room.
Yeah, and a ride.
I might have already booked the 3 penthouses at the Arc. So.
I could be very well going over there, actually. I think I'm going over.
They even let me have the room that Ivan trashed. They wouldn't let me have it last year, even though there was no one in it. They said, no, you can't have that again. But anyway, there's
what the.
Look at that.
Oh my God. New phone. Who dis?
New phone. Who dis? Let me get my ears up, guys.
Well, you get set up. You get set up. Yeah, you do that. I'll answer another one of Ben's questions. What was the most mind-blowing knife, process, or tool from Blade Show? I don't know. Everything fucking is mind-blowing at Blade Show. You walk around, you think,
yeah,
just
it becomes
unreal.
overwhelming, doesn't it?
Yeah, look, the handle materials, I think at the moment, there's people making handle materials that look like rainbow trout and just like cool shit. There's some very cool shit which I'm working on at the moment. So we will that'll be pretty good. There's still a whole lot of steel wank out there, but I mean,
yeah.
Someone says, "What are little buddies?" little buddies were the second grinder I ever imported. So we brought in Wilmot Tag, Wilmot Tag 101s, and little buddies were his cheap grinder that came flat packed. And at the time, we had a deal with a company in America that they were paying freight for our gas equipment coming into Australia. And I was getting the little buddies flat packed on a pallet and stuck in the back of these containers. It was extremely, extremely good for everybody. And the and we just it got to the point where we were putting 3 or 4 pallets of these little buddies in the containers, and it just couldn't happen anymore. And then Chris was sort of keen to do something else, and Chris Wilmot, and he's making some beautiful stuff now. These Quattro grinders that he's doing, they're awesome. Really solid grinder.
I've got to interject here that guess who's back? Mert. He's got his. He didn't press mute.
Can I mute him? I'm going to mute him.
Mute the bastard.
How do you do that?
Oh, here he is. Here.
Fucking.
Jeez, you're noisy.
I've muted him, and now I can't unmute him. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! How quickly did that go downhill?
Pretty quickly. Let's go.
Okay, so someone says, Corin, as a new knife maker, how long before one of your hammers will be beneficial to me? They're only beneficial when you start heat treating, because you will have warped blades.
Yes.
And that's when they really work really well. Okay, but you don't need one of my hammers to straighten the blade, right? Get an old blunt carbide, half-inch tungsten carbide tip drill bit and dome the end and just tap on it with that. It'll still work the same. You don't need to spend money with me. My hammers are just a luxury item. You can get around it. It's like anything else. But if you want to support me, jump on and buy a hammer. I really appreciate it. Get the double carbide one. It's probably the best of the
double carbide. The one to go for.
Yeah.
Sure. Adam Solari's asked, what shouldn't you use the carbide hammer for?
No, you use them for anything you want. As Sam Salvati said, who's got one over in the States, I've known Sam for many years, and he was one of the early adopters. They dent everything around the house.
And you can use them for toffee.
Oh, yeah, toffee hammers. Yes, they are toffee hammers.
That's what they get shipped out as, toffee hammers.
Someone in customs is reviewing the amount of toffee hammers that have been shipped around the world and gone.
There you go. We haven't seen the correlation in the increase of toffee production to the increase in toffee tools.
Yeah, I reckon you'll be doing really well to damage the carbide. You just do whatever you like with it, smack it. But because the carbide I use, right, there's lots of different grades. I didn't know this when I started. There's lots of different grades of tungsten carbide. I've selected tungsten carbide for toughness, not hardness. And you shouldn't use it for, I don't know, injuring your children or something like that. That would be bad. That would be an example of something you shouldn't do.
Whacking the private parts, that's probably not.
No matter how much
little
pricks
can you use it
deserve
for forging?
You can if you want. I don't care what you do with it. Hit shit. But don't hit other bits of carbide, because that probably wouldn't work well. But anyway. So Mert's back. Can we get some GL Hansons? What's that?
What's James Brook? What's GL Hansons?
Yeah, help me out there. I'll Google it. It's probably something I'm supposed
We're
to.
Old, mate.
Is it handle material, guy?
Oh, it could be. I don't know. We are struck. Were you starstruck to meet anyone particular at Blade? I don't get really that starstruck, but I'm sure there was a few people starstruck to meet me.
Yeah, considering that Adam, he met the maker or the creator of the liner lock and then fobbed it off as, oh, well, I'm just a dumb Aussie, instead of licking his boots.
It's Mike Carter. I'm actually working on a couple of deals with Mike Carter at the moment, so we'll see. That'll come out in a little while. We've just put in the final. I'm just going to say 2 words: bulk buy. We'll just leave that there.
Brad Stone's got the coolest idea above that.
Yeah, make a carbide pipe hawk. That's pretty cool. And Frank says, is anyone going to Seki this year? And the answer is my travel budget's been well and truly arse-reamed, so I'm not. Mert, how are you? Welcome to Knifemaking Down Under. We're just finishing up for the night. It's good that you came.
Yeah, Mert, guys. Yeah, man.
Give us your rundown for the last 6 months.
Last 6 months.
honestly, I don't even remember, man. Like somebody said, "Hey, I really like your podcast," and I said, "Podcast? What?" Then I had to say, "I'm sorry. Please start from the 20th episode. No, 40th." I was like, yeah, just yeah. I don't know what to say. Look,
Come
man,
back in
it's been
2 weeks. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Uh,
been it's been a hectic few last months, and as if I had plenty of time, I volunteered to do the coaching for my daughter's basketball team. Yeah, because like as if I didn't have enough eye rolls. Now I'm getting eye rolls during the practice. Like Sophia, release the ball higher. So I just came. So all of a sudden, I said like Thursday I got nothing. They scheduled the meeting. They scheduled the practice on Thursday, and end of end of practice speech didn't end up till like 8:15 or some shit. So I'm here. Great to be back, guys. Great to be back.
Yes, mate.
Missed you. Yeah, I missed
Yeah.
this. I missed you guys, and I mean I got to see Corn here and there, but it's good to be back with this dirty old big Kev, or more like a medium Kev.
Yeah.
you made
Since
him
Just
get-
in a size extra large now instead of 2XLs.
yeah, yeah, I'm looking forward to the dropping size as well, mate. Yeah, I
Well,
get a little.
that's easy. You know, I was thinking just about that when I saw someone commented that you look like you've lost a bit of weight.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's something to go with that, isn't there? Growing your own vegetables.
Yeah, fuck, yeah. I got a carrot and a cabbage.
Yeah.
I got a cabbage out of spending fucking
Mert
greenhouse
invested in
chemical
a
bullshit.
really nice big greenhouse and planted all this awesome stuff. And I was actually pretty envious because we've just got two
Yeah,
really low based garden beds outside. And the last 2.5 years for us, mate, I don't know what it was with the weather, but nothing grew. And this year we were just like, no, we're just planting the small tomatoes. We just planted them, and
bro,
they went
bro.
absolutely berserk.
I spent $1,000 on that piece of shit fucking greenhouse. Okay, it's the it's so shit. The IKEA papers, the IKEA instructions, they look like a PhD papers. Compared to the instructions of this thing, they look like PhD papers. Took me 5 days to put that shit up, and constantly leaning, constantly. I have to like prop shit up. Looks dodgy as hell. If there's a wind, all the panels fly up, and I'm like, "Hey, Lisa, I think my panels are in the backyard." It's like, "Oh yeah, no worries." Lisa, my neighbor, she throws it over, and so I duct taped it. I put like nails and shit. Now it's holding, but since I installed the shit and spent 10 minutes every day like watering and looking at it, I got 2 kilos of tomatoes. I got a takeaway container worth of baby carrots. I got probably like a 2 container of peas and a fucking tiny eggplant. Yeah. Brad Stone, hard work to grow your own veg, lose weight and not eating this stuff. Brad, eat shit. Just eat shit, Brad.
Oh,
I,
Mert's back.
I
Mert's back.
started there with a vengeance.
Oh, he's back. He's on fire. I will love it.
Yeah.
Eat shit, Brad.
well,
Oh, we were just having such a nice, quiet, polite, easygoing conversation, and in
That
flies
was
bloody
foreplay.
cyclone Mert. It's
Yeah,
good.
I'm here.
That's
I'm
good.
here.
It's good value. It's good stuff. We weren't joking though that we're not going to be on much longer. What have you been making, mate? What are the highlights of what you've been in your forge doing?
If I have to think about it for long, that means I haven't had much highlights.
Yeah.
I've been making stainless woods. That's the only thing
Oh yeah,
semi exciting,
yeah.
and Nightmare to Forge.
Oh
Other
yeah, I
than
bet.
that, man, it's been it's been interesting few months.
Yeah.
Play well, yeah. Garden is a great way to spend grand to grow $10 worth of your own veggies. Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
like the old saying about how do you become a millionaire? Start off as a billionaire and buy a yacht.
Yeah.
And for us poorer folks, it's buy stuff to grow your own vegetables, and realize you get $10 worth of produce from the local bloody weekend markets. Just
Yeah,
eat
man.
beef cheeks and lose all on the toilet. It's funny because we're back. We're back.
For the benefit of those at home not seeing the visuals, Ash Edwards says, looks like Mert ran his head through the buffer, looking glossy. Mert showing the axe wax that he's been using on his scalp. And shameless plug there for axe wax.
Yeah, they get a shameless plug, all right. Yeah, look.
You can tell I haven't used it for so long. This shit turned into orange. So I axed the wax.
We're going to. I was actually asked by someone, do we have a guest on this evening when they found out the podcast was? And I said, no, just the three of us talking shit as usual. Probably talk a little bit about Blade Show and what we've been up to again. And they're like, oh, no, we're good with that. But there are quite a number of people that we will be looking at getting on the show, and a few of the regular names. We want to get Henning Wilkinson back on because he's always good for a laugh, and he got his JS over at the Blade Show this year. Mert's got a new hairdo. We want to get we'll get Sausage Man on because he was over in the States and he had a great time over with
Steve Schwarzer.
Steve, yeah, I was just because I just read something about Unky Keith. I'm like, it's not Unky. Who is it? Yeah, Steve Schwarzer. And out of the bar, hunting gators, looking like he was fitting in quite well. So we'll have to
mate, I messaged him saying, bro, like I really thought that Florida was going to own you and not return you back.
Oh yeah,
because some people like you look like you broke right there.
I got to go back and too many teeth.
I got to go back and find the footage where Schwarzer joined us in his underpants that time. Do you remember that? How could you forget it?
Yeah,
classic.
Yeah, hot
fucking
and sweaty.
Classic. Yeah, that was funny as.
Yeah, no, we'll get a few people on.
I'm just going to put up a thing now from Andrew Smith. We'll just have a quick shameless plug for the KAA.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yep. What about general update?
You got it, Kev. You're the boss.
Okay, KAA general update. Sydney will be huge this year. It's huge last year. This year's going to be even better. 220 tables, 75 plus custom makers, and that's from not dissing anyone else that's selling their wares and tears, but from the heart, 75 plus custom makers is unreal. Trucks, trailers, forged in fires. Jay Nielsen. We are getting Jay Nielsen to come out to Australia, and he's going to be lined up with Gamico and the Broadbeck guys, as well as entertaining the crowd, no doubt, with his antics and stories of wonderment in Forged in Fire tales. And Adelaide is 90% full already.
Oh,
6 to 8 tables left, reserved for custom makers only. Wow. So
Andrew,
I'm just coming over if I come over. Mert, I think, has just put a wink, add his name to a table. So there's going to be 6 to 7 tables left. And Perth booked and ready for the first weekend in February 2024. We have changed the weekend there, haven't we? Or am I just missing things?
No, still first weekend of February.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, that's Perth. Yeah.
Yeah, one of them.
That's a good one.
Oh, no.
Perth is a...
Yeah, sorry. No, Sydney Knife Show's changed weekends, not Perth. So Sydney we're a week later.
And Adelaide's not the right week either.
And Adelaide's a week later. That's it. We've had to change dates on a few. So be sure to check dates when you're booking stuff into your family leave passes and calendars and work leave passes and all the rest, because it's not the couple of shows we've had to just change due to conflicts with the bookings and our vendors there. So, yeah, that's going to be fun.
Andrew's probably putting up the dates, but I'm just looking it up. Saturday, 18th and 19th of November. So it's always been the first weekend in November, but it's now 18th and 19th. I know, because when I went to book my accommodation, I had to get that right. And that'll be That'll be a hell of a weekend, guys.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the Sydney one earlier in the piece when I was talking about, well, will I be in Sydney? And yeah, I probably will be. I had spoken to Andrew Smith just privately about it. So yeah, I will be put to work on the KAA table at the front too, selling T-shirts and raffle tickets, as well as going around and annoying makers and providing people a fill-in while they go for a pit stop, that sort of stuff. I'm happy to do a bit of running around because I know what it's like when you've got a table and no time to scratch yourself. Yeah, so that'd be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Blair, hit me up and I'll give you some tips and tricks, mate, because driving to Perth would be a bit of Blair's saying it'd be a hell of a drive with a loaded ute trailer. My advice to you, Blair, would be to just ship to the venue. The venue's got a forklift, and if you just get it shipped so your freight company knows it's got to be delivered on the Thursday or the Friday, they'll put it in the room. All you have to do is walk in and unpack. So
yeah, especially seeing Blair's ute after the Adelaide show.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
We take three pallets every year to Adelaide to Perth. It's it's a bit of a mission. Yeah. Anyway, maybe we'll take the truck sleeve. A what? A wizard's sleeve. What was that referring to?
Borat.
Right.
Wizard sleeve.
Oh dear.
Help me out, Kev. Help me out, Kev.
I'm just smiling and nodding.
Me too.
Oh dear.
Anyway, so we're back. Yeah. Look, we're going to go back to a more regular thing. We'd like to get back into. We not just like to. We will get back into talking more about knives and knife making related stuff in Australia.
Absolutely.
It is clearly our passion, despite the fact that two of us probably haven't done much knife making this year. So,
not a lot. But as per usual, save up your questions, throw them up onto the chat stuff. I can only see one. I keep forgetting that I can only see one avenue of the chats, whereas Corin sees all platforms.
Can I? I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you could anyway. But anyway, save up your questions, and then don't be afraid of asking stuff.
Yeah.
We'll either tell you we know,
about. That's not.
Yeah, we'll either answer your questions or we'll honestly say we have no idea and fob you off to another source. But yeah, it's been fantastic to see, from my point of view in the comments, all of the regulars back. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your evening to come and have a listen. And it's fantastic to be back. Really is.
Well done. All right, guys. Have a great night. And whatever you're doing, stay safe or not, however you want. It's entirely up to you. Take care. All the best.
Righto. See you, everyone.
Bye.
See you guys.